Hi, good morning. Well, today I'm going to show you how to combine all these sub procedure into a single procedure. Now to do that, I'm going to make a copy of this module, right? So I'm copy it and paste it here, and I'm going to give them a different name. Calculation 2 module. Okay, and now what I do is that basically once I click a button, it fill up the respective answer, right, based on a different range. So I'm going to write these things right here, paste it here, split it here, divide here, and this here as well. So all this is there, right? It's the same input tool, but we want to see a different result in a different cell. So it will be G4. What will be G4? And then it's G6. Okay, G6. And then it's G8. And it's G10. And finally it's G12. And all these may not be needed. And I'll change that to calculate. So at a simple click, at a button click, right, it will fill up the answer respectively. So 10 plus 2 become 12, and 10 plus 2, 10 minus 2 become 8, 10 times 2 become 20, 10 divided by 2 become 5, and 10 to the power of 2 become hundreds, and so on. And I'm going to do some indents. Select the range and press the tab key to indent it. So it just looks nicer. But can we make it more easier to read the code? The answer is yes, when we introduce you to the verbs. So what is variable? Let me just give you this example in a short while. So let's copy this. I change it to calculate. Right, just put a simple 2. Now, to learn about variables, the first thing is that you need to learn how to declare of variables. So to declare of variables, you use dim and then give them a name. So a name could be, for example, here would be I input 1 as integer. Okay, you need to refer to my books to understand what is integer and so and more. So integer is a type, right? It's just like the different size of a box, so it can store something. A variable helps you to store a value in the computer memory temporarily. So we write this thing. So the second is I input 2, right? The reason I have an I is because I want to recognize that this variable store an integer type of data. Now the next one is we're not going to use that. All you need is just changing this to this and this and this and this and this. Right? Is there a simple way than that? Right? The answer is yes. So what you need to do is that you highlight this range. You go to Edit. You choose Replace. Now, you tell Excel that every time you see a range default, you gotta replace it with I input 2. And then click Replace All. In this, select the text, Replace All. And there will be 5 replacement. Yeah. So now there's still one more thing, right? Because at the moment, I input 1 has no value assigned to it. it is just empty, it's a 0. So what's next is that we're going to do some assignment. Now we go to B4 and assign this input 1 value into it, and that same goes to I input 2, but this time is D4. So what it says here is that it takes B4, the value in B4, which is 10, and store it into a variable I input 1. So we can show I input 1, which is easier to read than say range B4 dot value. Right, it is more meaningful than that. And I input 2 is a D4. And yep, this is the I input 2, right? This is also assigning value, right? So assigning the value of D4 into I input 2. Finally, we take the same input 1, right? Which now keep into a memory, and with this kind of information, storing into the variable, it actually lets the code run faster. So now we assign this into cell G4 for the plus sign. Right, you can use the fx to run through this at 1. So run this code, right? 1 is 1. Okay, you can see that now I input 1 has the value of 10. That's because we just take the cell B4 value into and store it into I input 1. And as for D4, at this point, I input 2 takes the default value of 0, and after completing this code, it's now stored the value of 2. That's right. So now I input 1 10 as 10, I input 2 has a value of 2, and we now assign it to G4, which is 12. I input at 10, I input 2 at 2, 10 minus 2 become 8, and it stores this value, computed value, into G6, right? And so on, 20 divide, and that's end the class. So you can see that, right, it is much easier to read than over here, right? Range B4, you need to go back to your worksheet and to refer what is that. Here we can simply say it's I input 1, I input 2, right? So in fact, the I input 2 can be other meaning as well, right? It can be say as can be a number of passenger, and then fees per ticket, right? And something that is meaningful. So variables allow you to store a value in a meaningful way. So in this video, you learn how to transform a range value into a variable of type integer. And thank you. I hope you learned something.